Bob Clark with you. The new secretary for the Department of Energy, Chris Wright, is in New Mexico today and tomorrow to visit our national labs in Los Alamos and here in Albuquerque at Sandia National Labs. And he joins us here on the show on 96.3 News Radio KKOB. Secretary Wright, thank you very much for your time this morning. Welcome to New Mexico. How you doing this morning?
Thanks, Bob. Great to join you. Great to be in the wonderful state of New Mexico and on my way to Los Alamos Labs today and Sandia tomorrow.
Very good. And, of course, you're from Denver, Colorado, so you're no stranger to New Mexico, that's for sure. Hey, before we get into more on your trip here to visit the labs, and then, of course, in general, Trump administration energy policy and what we can expect, especially here in New Mexico with oil and gas. We are number 2 in the nation when it comes to oil and gas production here, just behind Texas. Give us some insight as to why this opportunity was so attractive to you to take over as the energy secretary.
Oh, yeah, it's honor of a lifetime. I am thrilled to help bring some common sense back to D.C., lower energy prices for Americans, and strengthen our position around the world, and hopefully end some of the conflicts and wars in the world as well.
Well, we're all familiar with drill, baby, drill. That's for sure. And we've been doing that here in New Mexico. But again, it's basically, in the Permian Basin, a lot of state land. The last 4 years under President Biden and his administration, more and more federal land has been taken off the table for even the possibility of oil and gas drilling. So give us beyond just drill, baby, drill, give us a sense of what the Trump administration in this second term and what the energy policy is going to look like.
Yeah, so I would say very important for drill, baby, drill is build, baby, build. There's great resources in New Mexico in the Four Corners area as well, but the inability to build some infrastructure and proceed with development has just stifled it for a decade. The Permian is so large and so much momentum that it's a little bit harder to drill on the federal lands in New Mexico than the private lands in Texas. And we want to change that. I don't want New Mexico at a disadvantage to Texas. Probably the greatest oil and gas resources onshore in the world, in the United States, that we have are in southeast New Mexico. So President Trump wants to unleash all forms of energy. We've been closing coal plants across our country for years. That's been helping drive up electricity prices and make our grid less stable. So President Trump wants to look at everything we can do to make it easier to energize American lives and lower costs. Bob, let me throw in 2 more things. Mm-hmm. One is nuclear power. Look, this got launched in our country decades ago, and then it's plateaued and hasn't gone anywhere for a few decades. President Trump is passionate about getting American nuclear energy going and ultimately exporting that technology to our allies around the world. The Los Alamos and Sandia Labs are key to that mission. Also, something as common sense as appliances, right? Our appliances these days are becoming more expensive, and their performance is lower. Like, who wins by that? President Trump came in with a bold agenda to kind of clear out that nonsense, let people buy the appliances they want, to wash their dishes, clean their clothes, dry their clothes, save their times, and better their lives without emptying their bank accounts.
Secretary of Energy Chris Wright with us here on 96.3 News Radio KKOB. What about wind and solar energy and where that fits in terms of the Trump administration portfolio?
So again, the administration's goal is secure, affordable, reliable energy. Solar is growing rapidly today in the United States, and when you back that up with some storage, there's a lot of room for technical improvement there, but I think it's got a real role to play. The wind industry peaked several years ago and has been in decline for a number of reasons. People don't like wind turbines all around them, and the energy that's produced so far has been expensive and unreliable. And when we get these cold high-pressure systems or hot high-pressure systems where we see peak electricity demand, wind disappears. So if you can't provide energy when we're at peak power demand, they're just lower value resources. They use a lot of land, a lot of materials, and have become unpopular. They haven't helped advance the American energy system.
What about EV mandates?
Gone. Look, that's again, these are just legacy policies that are currying favor with wealthy people. Wealthy people buy electric vehicles, and then the idea was let's tax all the other Americans to help rich people buy EVs. President Trump is absolutely against that. If you love EVs, wonderful. We're not against anyone buying EVs, but you should pay for them with your own money.
What about the infrastructure that goes along with electric vehicles, especially EV charging stations? Is that a path that's going to continue under the Trump administration?
That's another one of the things that should be built with private money. You know, the Biden administration spent billions of dollars to build a couple dozen charging stations. That's a perfect example of how the government is not an efficient provider of services. It ends out spending money on politically favored groups and wildly inefficiently. So private businesses that are building electric vehicles have been and will continue to build the charging network. But the government shouldn't join in as an expensive, inefficient partner in that.
Secretary of Energy Chris Wright with us here on News Radio KKOB. And Mr. Secretary, before we let you go, talk a little bit about your trip to New Mexico. You're heading to Los Alamos National Labs and then Sandia National Labs. So basically, what's the mission here?
The mission, I'm going to visit all 17 of our fantastic national labs, but I want to start with Los Alamos Lab, where the Manhattan Project really assured the United States won World War II and established the military supremacy of the United States in the Cold War. So to me, that is a treasured institution in this country. I want to visit with the scientists today that are maintaining and improving our nuclear arsenal, look at the other areas of research that are going on there, see how I can help and how I can congratulate these scientists for their tremendous work. And tomorrow, Sandia Labs, an equally critical lab in the strategic deterrence of the United States, where our next generation modernized weapons are being designed and planned for. So these are just two powerful American institutions. I'm here to learn, and I'm here to say thanks.
Well, and Mr. Secretary, obviously we all know about Doge and Elon Musk and the mission there. Do you still envision Sandia and Los Alamos National Labs being fully funded to carry on their missions?
Absolutely. Look, these are essential scientific institutions for the military security of our country and for the future energy security of our country. They're critical to our mission. But, of course, our broader effort in Washington is what are the things we do that are inefficient and unnecessary. You and I have spoken about a few of those. We need to shrink our deficit. We need to get our country on sounder fiscal footing, grow opportunities for Americans. Passionate about all of those, but Los Alamos and Sandia fit perfectly in that mission. Those labs are strong and powerful institutions, and they will remain so.